Okay, this is the 4.4D homework worksheet. We're going to do number 12. So, if 1, 0 is 2 minus 3i, we know by the conjugate root theorem that the other one is 2 plus 3i. Putting 2 minus and 2 plus 3i together, our first goal is to complete a quadratic that has these two as its roots. The shortcut for this is to do the sum of the two. 2 plus 3i plus 2 minus 3i would just be 4. And the product, multiply the two of them together means foiling, means difference of 2 squared, or 13. So our result plus the product. That's the factor that if we use the quadratic formula on, we actually get these two as roots. So now we have to divide that out of the original polynomial to get it down to a degree of 3. It's now in a degree of 5, but we want it down to a degree of 3 because we already know two roots, so we should be able to pull those out of here. This means long division. So let's go through the long division. Compare x squared next to the fifth. It's x to the third power. I always keep things lined up so that you have your x cubes on the top and your x squareds on the top are all in the same column. Okay, anyway, multiply. This gets x to the fifth minus 4x to the fourth plus 13x to the third. Bar, now change the sign, minus, plus, minus. Go back and add negative 5x to the fourth. That would be plus 21x to the third, and then minus 62x squared. Repeat the same thing. We're going to multiply by a negative 5x squared. Distribute. We get negative 5x to the fourth, plus 20x to the third, minus 65x to the second. Subtract by changing the signs, and then add. First term drops out, and then we get x to the third, plus 3x to the second, and then this is minus 15x. This will be plus x here. So we have x to the third minus 4x squared plus 13x. Add, change the signs, minus, plus, minus. And then we have 7x to the second minus 28x plus 91. I had to pause there just to make sure this is going to work out, but it does. If we add 7, we get 7x squared minus 28x plus 91. And when we change the signs, they all cancel. Remainder 0. If you did not get a remainder 0, you did something wrong. And the things that are commonly wrong are copying down the wrong numbers here, or probably more common is doing an adding 4 instead of subtracting 4 there. Remember, it's minus the sum. And then little silly mistakes in the division. So we end up with these two factors, but this is the one that we're going to look at because that's the one that we know we can pull some of the roots out of. Now, it's a third degree right now. We just got it to a third degree, but we want to get it down even further. So I'm going to take this thing, and let's do a PQ analysis on that. P would be an element of plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 7, and then Q is an element of plus or minus 1. Not very exciting, but you only have 4 roots to work with, so that's good. P over Q is an element of 3. Well, as I said in a previous video, I always like starting with 1, so let's list our coefficients. 1, 7. Let's start testing. Only 4 of them test, and we only have to find 1. 1 times 1 is 5 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 1, negative 3. Negative 3 times 1, okay, no. So negative 1. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 times that is positive 6. And we got 1. Okay, negative 1 is a root. Let's look at our remaining d's. Equals 0. And we can factor that into x minus 7 and x minus 1. Just kidding. That does not factor into that. Because if it did, then 1 would have been a root. We just tested it right there. So either this was wrong or this was wrong. And it was actually my factoring that was pretty bad. I factor like a freshman right there. Okay, so I don't see that this can factor. We have to use the quadratic formula on this. X equals opposite of negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 4 times 1 times 7 all over 2a. This becomes x equals 6 plus or minus 36 minus 28 is 8, so radical 8 over 2, and that's going to simplify to 3 plus or minus root 2. Well, the fun part at the end is tallying all of our roots up. We still have the 2 original ones. We have 2 plus or minus 3i. Then we have the one we found right here. Highlight, come quickly. Negative 1. So we're going to stick negative 1 in there. Then we have these two. 3 plus or minus radical 2. 5 roots. Quick, we'll go back and check. Yep, degree of 5. So we're done.